Wait, you have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV.
Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hey everybody, welcome to TV Guidance Counselor. I am Ken Reed, as always, your TV Guidance Counselor, here to talk about classic television using back issues of TV Guide magazine from my personal collection as the gateway into our collective past. And my guests, plural, that's right, 2 guests, Anna Rubanova and Adam Bozarth of Left-Handed Radio. If you are a fan of Left-Handed Radio and you're checking out my show for the first time, thank you very much. You have excellent taste. If you're a fan of my show and you've never heard Left-Handed Radio, go to their website and listen to their website. Go wherever. You can just Google it and anyway, lefthandedradio.com. Really funny scripted sketch comedy podcasts and various other shows. If you like this show, you will like their show. That's I guarantee you. And I'm doing a lot of guarantees lately on the show. They are not legally binding, I do want to say, but I'm also not a lawyer. Anyway, this is a great chat. I had a great time talking to them, and I think you will enjoy hearing me talk to them. I always think that. In fact, if I didn't think that, I probably wouldn't put the episodes out. But so there may be like a whole shoebox full of episodes, a digital shoebox full of episodes that I don't, but there isn't. Anyway. You'll like this. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guests, Anna Rubanova and Adam Bozarth of Left-Handed Radio.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live via satellite from helicoptery Los Angeles. Adam and Anna, how are you guys?
We're doing fantastic.
Doing well, Ken.
How are you?
Good.
I haven't been, this is like the longest I haven't been to LA in like 2 years, and I miss car chases.
You must be Mr. LA, right? Because of how
That's me.
Into television you are. This must just be your Disneyland. There is a Disneyland here, obviously.
Yeah.
But the entire city is your theme park, I imagine.
Yeah, it's like the first time I went there, it felt really familiar, and I was like, oh, because, I've seen, this is what America looked like to me.
Exactly, yeah. I remember, like, the first time I was here and seeing all these different, like, things that you can recognize from the background of all sorts of stuff, and it feels like walking into Middle Earth. This sort of, like, especially, like, I think we both like growing up completely outside of that, and you walk into like, oh, look, they shot body snatchers over here.
It's right here, because you grew up in Iowa, right?
Illinois, like
Illinois.
Right on the border of Missouri and Iowa was like a stone's throw away.
Oh, Missouri.
Yes, yeah.
And then where'd you grow up, Anna?
I grew up in New York, but I wanted to say that my impression of Los Angeles was prehistoric, because I associated all the palm trees with all those cheaply made disaster, monster, and dinosaur movies from my childhood. So it was very strange. The plants are what got me, not the structures. It was all the weird cacti and palms that look like giant pineapples for some reason.
So you went tar pits. You went full tar pits.
Yes.
Funny statues. Yeah. It's amazing to me, because one of the things I always like to do when I go out there is visit like shooting locations. Like it's the, the high school from everything, and here's the house from the Wonder Years and all that stuff. And the thing that always strikes me is the palm trees, but in the way that you realize that, the Wonder Years is an example, or My So-Called Life. Here's shows that take place in Pittsburgh or Detroit or whatever. Yeah. And when you go to the street, you're like, that's the house. But there's like 2 very specific angles you can shoot it from where you don't see all the palm trees.
And yet, I don't know if there's just absolutely no city planning going on. Every house looks different. Every house could shoot for, any place in the country. There's houses in the hills that look like you're in the middle of Connecticut.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, yeah.
no palm trees. It's specifically, pine and maple, and that's all you get.
Yeah.
It's got to be some New Englander who moved out there and was like, you know what? I'm going to make it fucking look like where I grew up. Screw you. Because that's how we like to do things.
And that's the beauty of LA. Now we realize the beauty of LA is only available to you if you have the cash. But you have that freedom to make whatever you want of it, because it's basically a set that you can design any way you like.
Yeah, it's as a Boston person too. When I first started going to LA, I was going downtown, which is where like pre-Hollywood, downtown was where all the movies were shot. And it was all founded by Boston people. So there's a Bunker Hill, and like Beverly Hills is named after Beverly, Mass. And I looked it up, and like basically all these like thugs and gangsters from here were like, let's go out there, it's nice. And then just like infected everything, and it's amazing.
Well, like I said, I'm from New York, and to me, downtown LA looks like if aliens wanted to create a New York-shaped cage for us.
Yes.
And just kind of approximated. All the signs are the right color.
Right.
The buildings are tall enough, but everything's wrong. Broadway's in the wrong place. There's a Spring Street in the wrong place. Yeah.
This is her natural environment. She's more comfortable here. Well, like the Biltmore, the Millennium Biltmore, which is in a ton of movies, people probably best know it as the hotel where they get Slimer in Ghostbusters, and where the prom was in Pretty in Pink. That's like, if we're shooting something in LA that takes place in New York, that's where we're doing it. It's like Mad Men, anything, this one hotel.
Yeah.
Or they do some weird thing where they make a 3-story building look like it's 17 stories tall somehow.
With a matte painting.
With a matte painting. Or, it's just, it comes to a point.
Have you been to any of the backlots since you've been out there?
We had a chance to go to, I think you went to the Warner Brothers lot, right?
If I did, I have no memory.
I think.
Well, they wipe it when you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wipe it.
Tell no one what you
my
saw.
brain.
Yes, yeah. They're like, you can't tell anyone. It's like Wonka.
We took the Universal Studios tour, which I guess is the closest thing. Which is kind of funny because like as we're doing this tour, they're coming up on like, and here's where they make The Good Place, and then they they go like, and here's where like Darcy Carden parks, which is like very strange for me because I used to be on an improv team with her. And it's just like, wow, okay.
How much did I pay to see that? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's I bring it up though too because the Paramount lot has all the New York set and all that stuff too. But it's funny because when you're there, you realize they actually do make the buildings sort of foreshortened so they look taller. But when you're standing there, you're like, this is a stupid building that comes to a point. But on film, it looks just like a big building. And it's but it doesn't ruin the effect for me. I don't know if this ruined it for you.
A few years ago, I was on set just as an audience member at like a Christmas Story Live when they turned that into a musical.
That's what I was referring to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I no idea. I'm. You'll find out. Adam has an encyclopedic knowledge of TV stuff. I have no. I just kind of absorb it, and it becomes part of me, and I have no idea where
you don't know
where
what
it came
part.
from. I have no idea. Yeah. So it was interesting to watch them turn, the set into a winter wonderland, but also just move that tree there, add some, moss or whatever, add some tinsel, cover up the base, go for it. Now it's this set. And they would just keep reusing the same, 20 by 20 foot square, like space, and just like, all right, now move this there. Okay. All right, let's go. And I can't believe anyone would do that.
It's so much work and everything's so much smaller than it looks. And it's kind of amazing because like in New York, did you grow up like Manhattan, New York, or like upstate?
I wish. No. Just outer boroughs life for me.
But you still could go into the city, I imagine, often.
Yeah. After I, was like 15, 16, I was allowed a Metro card.
But when you go in New York, you're like, oh, they just shoot New York. Like that's,
Yes.
There's no artifice. Like if anything, they clean it up. And they're like, this is what the size of everything, this is what it looks like.
And I will say too, I'm a recession millennial. I've never held a job for more than 2 years, I think. And initially, when I graduated from college, I was doing improv in New York, and I couldn't find a job, but I accidentally booked a commercial. Accidentally meaning like I don't have a theater degree. I never considered myself an actor, but I did improv. I got it. I had a meeting with an agent. He sent me out on an audition. I booked it immediately. Guess what? He signed me.
What was the commercial?
It was from Maryland Lotto, but because of that, I had to join SAG. And because I couldn't find any other work besides the occasional commercial, I did extra work. So I got to shoot in New York. I got to, what's the Matt Damon movie that I've never, also, by the way, have never seen any of the movies I've been an extra in. There was a Matt Damon, Philip K. Dick.
The Adjustment
Bureau. It might have been the Adjustment Bureau, yeah. And, it was him running through the street.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the middle of New York.
Take after take.
Everybody, all these poor PAs standing there, like, trying to keep all of New York from crossing a street.
Oh, yeah. It's filming stuff is the most boring thing. Being an extra is the worst job. I don't know if you found that. I agree.
Eventually it is.
Yeah.
At first it was exciting because, you get fed, and if you're a writer as well, you have all this time to write, and you have nowhere to go. You're not allowed to go anywhere. So it can be a dream job for the right person. But
not me.
Eventually it sucks out your soul through your mouth.
Especially if it's like a night shooter, because Boston's so small and they've been shooting so many things here. They like beg everybody to be extras because they're like, we need people who haven't been extras yet. We've already redressed everybody. Like, so they just like beg you, and it'll be like, it's a 12-hour night shoot with Brendan Fraser, and like it's like and you get paid like $40. It's
doing?
like
Doom Patrol. Oh, if you're non-union, it's terrible.
Yeah.
If you're a union, they pay you twice as much.
Yeah, see, that's where I fell off, where I didn't get any union. But it's the union way.
Yeah, and it's still terrible. It's still a terrible union.
But it's more money, and you could be like, I saw my arm.
Yeah, I have an aunt who was an extra in the movie Norma Rae, and still to this day, it's just like there I am walking into the factory.
Do you know Doug Benson?
We know of him.
Yeah,
Doug's in everything. He's in Blade Runner. He's in Big. He's in Captain
Blade
EO.
Runner?
Yeah, he's in Captain
Yes, yeah.
Wait, why is he in Blade Runner?
He's an extra.
He's an extra in one of the scenes when they're in Chinatown. Like Harrison Ford like bumps into it, like because he grew up up there, and he's literally an extra in like 100 major movies you've seen.
But you're saying as a kid?
Yeah, and as a young adult too.
I thought he was just still hustling and still doing that. I figured he would have found some steady work.
Broke through by now. He was Edward James Olmos in Blade Runner, and then he's
you said
War
Blade
Can
Runner.
Change a
I
Man.
thought there is a new Blade Runner.
Yes, 2049. Yeah, no, the original Blade Runner, and
Wow.
literally the other day, I Big was on, and I'm like, oh, there's Doug Benson. He's working in the toy company. He's like a guy with glasses who's like, what? It's just,
He's also 200 years old and only started doing extra work, 100 years in.
Yeah, to cover for his immortality. He's a Highlander. I've seen him behead 10 or 12 other Doug Bensons and gain their powers.
I just learned the mechanics of Highlander. Thank you.
Yes. There can be only one, and you gain what's called the quickening when you behead one, which is the only way they can die, is if they're beheaded.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been missing out.
In college, I took a editing class, and for our final, we had to take all the raw footage from an episode of Highlander the Series and edit it into an episode. And it may have been the closest I've ever been to being tortured.
Really?
It was 2 weeks in a closet with Highlander the Series raw footage to try to make an episode of Highlander the Series.
And did everybody get the same raw footage, or was it like when I was in college, I had a graphic design professor who was like, all right, as an assignment, we're all going to make a identity package for my friend's new store. It's just like, this sounds a little fishy.
And make sure you write down your billable hours just as practice.
Did you have to all watch your individual
yes.
cuts?
Oh, God.
Yes. So then not only, which they didn't tell us, it was a smaller class because there was like 10 of us that were doing avid editing, which is totally useless now. But yeah, we watched the episode 10 times, and there was one kid who, I swear to God, he was an Andy Kaufman character. Like, this kid was doing some sort of long con comedy bit because he was just like, he edited this thing to be the most surreal art film I've ever seen, but had no idea that's what he had done. Like, he really thought he nailed it. Like, he was like, this looks like exactly like the TV one, but it was like voices for the wrong people and like shots that were them just like checking the gate and like weird. I was like, this is real weird. And then the teacher was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like,
I would pay good money to see that.
Oh, yeah.
This kid's cut of everything. Just have him read everything.
Where's his cut of Justice League?
Yeah, I want to see his Snyder cut. It oddly makes way more sense. So when I asked you to show you, you gave me a bunch of options, which I thank you for. And this is the one I found the first, so you got stuck with it. This is November 14th to the 20th, 1992. The shaping of Michael Jackson on the cover, which you mentioned earlier, was instantly like, oh dear, no.
Yeah.
My dogs even feel for you. This is from the Midwest. This is from one of my editions from the Lincoln City Libraries. There were two libraries that were getting rid of all their physical print media. One was in Maine, one was in Lincoln, Nebraska. So you got a Lincoln, Nebraska one, which is why it's Central Time. But you grew up in Central Time, right?
I did, yeah. So I was very used to all of this sort of stuff, which it's also kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess, now realizing that I got to see a lot of like late night stuff that I probably wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So, but yeah, looking through this, it just brought back so many memories of stuff, like of just. We didn't have TV Guide in the house. We, like, our local newspaper used to give us this thing called TV Weekly that was, like, very specific to the town. So we didn't need a TV Guide. But it was the same sort of stuff, the same grid setup and all that stuff, and maybe a feature at the beginning. But it was... But seeing all the different like listings for the local PBS station where it's like Iowa Today, I was just
yes.
Oh, I don't know if we have much to talk about, but I'll watch Iowa Today.
We have the slot. I was doing one for 1959 a couple weeks ago, and literally this was a Boston edition. There was a 2-hour slot of them live from the blood drive. And it was just them filming people giving blood for 2 hours because what else are you going to show?
In 67, 69, you said?
59.
59.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So even less on TV then.
Oh, yes. So people, and that was when you would get people who, I don't know what's going on. I apologize.
You have 10 dogs?
I have not 10. That'd be ridiculous. There's 9. No, there's 3 dogs. There's 3 very big dogs, and they get each other all riled
They're
up.
all pretending to be 3 dogs.
Yes. Oh, they each have 3 heads. I forgot to mention that.
Okay.
They're Cerebuses. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Oh, those are a popular breed. Yeah.
They are, especially when you live in a hellmouth like I do. They really protect the area. But I don't even remember what I was saying now. Oh, the blood drive. But that was when like, I forget, like we grew up in a time, and I think we're all roughly of similar age, where it was still kind of a novelty if someone had like a video camera, and like if someone was walking around with a video camera, everyone would be like either, oh, don't film me, oh hey, like, or like act 4, and now no one even bats an eyelash, but like in 1959, if they're filming anything, everybody there is like, oh wow, like they can't believe that they're going to be on TV, and we've come a long way.
But does it hold true the other way around? Because this is being broadcast nationwide, this blood drive? Are people tuning in going, wow, a blood drive?
See, I don't think so. It doesn't go both ways. Yeah. I don't think people go, I wondered if this is what they were like. Like at Studio 54.
How do you know they didn't inspire, droves of nurses?
Or it's just some like network exec who's into weird shit. He's like, hey, we got a 2-hour spot. Maybe we'd film the blood drive,
Your editor friend's father, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. Some close-ups of that. Yeah. So speaking of creepy, Michael Jackson here is on the cover because it's a made-for-TV movie this week. I do want to mention, because I do them double page here, the back cover Virginia Slims ad.
Yeah.
That is something else. This one is, I don't know what they're going for here.
It's a carefree lifestyle. What does it say? If you're trying to change things, the best place to start is your own backyard. So she's got 2 buckets of paint, and she's going to paint a couple of planks, and she's got on tight pants, and she's ready. She shouldn't be painting in this. This looks too nice.
No.
She's also wearing a work shirt, but in a cute way. It's tied up. Like, she looks like she just, Madewell didn't exist yet, but she looks like she's straight off a Madewell website. I'm gonna just say this is truly feminism.
It's true. Yeah, empowering, I think.
Yeah,
is
it's
really
very
what
empowering.
this is. Yep.
You can paint a house, you can paint a table, you can wear a work shirt, and you can smoke.
Yeah, this was basically 1992's Rosie the Riveter. This was just an iconic image of femininity that's powerful and strong. I love that Virginia Slims managed to have a tagline here that sounds like someone giving you advice on how to quit smoking. If you're trying to change things, the best place to start is in your own backyard.
One day at a time, Virginia Slims.
Come a long way, baby. But yeah, there's a ton of cigarette ads in these, even up until the 2000s. There's Alf. Someone asks about the finale of Alf. And of course, Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, which we won't mention because Grimace is in it. Let's have it. Now, did you guys pick together or did you pick separately?
I went through and wrote down some things that I both remember and would like to check out. I had a flight that I was able to do this, and
nice.
I think also this was like prime TV watching for me as a youth, but I think Anna wasn't watching as much.
No.
Then
I don't think I had a TV this week.
I think one of the nice benefits, though, of this schedule is that Star Trek is on at 9 every day of the week.
Yep.
Anna and I recently got into Star Trek for the first time. I had not watched, except for maybe a handful of episodes of the original series. I had not watched any, Next Generation or anything like that. And we went right through that, and we went through Deep Space Nine, and we're watching Voyager right now. So that's probably going to be the 9:00 choice for a lot of these.
That works. I was never a big Star Trek guy because I was always a horror sci-fi like gothy kid, and it was like way too utopian for me.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Until the Borg came in. And before in teen, I used to do a lot of conventions. They would hire me to do run Q&As and panels and stuff. And so I had to crash course a bunch of Star Trek series. And I really liked Voyager. I will say Voyager may have been my favorite.
I was going to say, Voyager has those aliens that just steal your organs out of nowhere. That's pretty scary.
Yeah. It does feel like they're going through the Tales from the Crypt quadrant of the universe.
It's creepy, and I did a convention once, and a Janeway was there, and she's this big. Kate Mulgrew very, very small, and I was in the backstage area, and she comes in just talking, real
Of course
loud.
she does.
Yeah, and she sits down next to me, still talking at these people, and then mid-sentence turns and looks at me and goes, "Who are you?"
Who are you?
God.
And then I was like, "I'm just a guy," and she goes, "Okay." And then just went back into what she was talking about.
Wait, this was an impersonator or?
No, it was her. It was actually her. Yeah.
You said a Janeway, and I was like, oh,
It's, there's the
Someone dressed as
Janeways.
Janeway. Okay.
This was the space of the space Janeways. And I also learned that the costumes they used on Voyager were reused from Next Generation.
Yeah.
So like Garrett Wong's costume is literally Brent Spiner's, like it has his name in it and everything. And then, and Paramount would sell the costumes at auction. So on the last day of the series, Kate Mulgrew rolled up her costume real small and put it in her purse. And they were like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I don't want some pervert buying this."
Wow.
She was
That's
right.
that's a TV veteran right there.
Can
Yep,
you
she was-
imagine somebody touching the fibers that touched my body?
No, thank you.
Pervert. Engage. So before we
Make
get to
it
the listing,
make it not so.
make it stop. Before we get to the listings here, there was an article in here. I forgot about this. It says Vidhead Haven. And this is about when Sega started putting out Sega CD and the game Night Trap came out, which was super controversial.
I was not expecting to see a feature on Night Trap. Yeah.
But I've rewatched it since and it's terrible. But I remember as a kid, they acted like it was the most brutal woman murdering thing you could possibly play.
Is this like maybe like a hangover from the video nasties era where there's just, like this kind of violence is just, there's no place for it in a Christian home and therefore we need to, tell everybody about it as much as possible?
Right. Get kids to really want to own it. I think so, but I also think because this is when we started to get really afraid of virtual reality.
Oh,
Even though it hasn't even advanced to the levels that they were afraid of it advancing to in like 1990. But we started getting like the Lawnmower Man and Virtuosity and all this. So like the fact that it was an interactive game, they were like, this is the kids are going to become murderers because Dana Plato got attacked by a ninja. It's a terrible game.
I have a modern question that will test this, I think. Thoughts on deepfakes? Are they the end of civilization as we know it?
I think they could be. Have you seen the one that Peter Serafinowicz did with the South Park guys?
No, but I will now.
Oh, you need to. It's Trump, and it looks and sounds like Trump, but he's being a Midwestern investigative reporter named Fred Sassy. But it's just this amazing thing. And like they have Mark Zuckerberg runs a discount dialysis place and it looks just like him. Wow. And it's really funny. But they did it to sort of draw attention to how scary this stuff is.
Yeah.
And it really did disturb me because it's way too good. It is way too good.
And I it's the wrong year, but Running Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all I can think of. Yeah.
Running Man and Robocop are like two of my all-time favorite movies. And like the summer after Trump got in, I was like, I just need to unplug. And I put those movies on and I was like, wrong choices. Because the satire was just like too real.
Yeah.
Watching
Deep Space Nine last year at the end of all of the, civil unrest across the country. They do an episode of Deep Space Nine where a handful of them go back in time to 2024 when society has collapsed. There's about to be a big mass uprising, and it's just like, this is not escapism anymore.
Society had already collapsed, and there's it's 2020. So we're imagining between 2020 and 2024, everything that's in real life is going to turn into the Star Trek world.
And Dick Miller is in it, the craggy-faced character actor who effectively plays somebody like I will be about his age. Like he's effectively a millennial.
I met Dick Miller before he died, and there's that great documentary, if you've not seen it, called That Guy Dick Miller, and it's about his whole career. Fascinating guy. He started as a writer originally when he moved out to Hollywood and got these roles, but he's one of those classic old guys that, despite me introducing myself as Ken, will not call me anything but Kenny. Like he's sort of, hey, Kenny. Hey, just that, like one setting, and it's okay with him. It's like, all right, Dick Miller, thanks. Yeah, he's in all of Joe Dante stuff. Gremlins, actually. So,
Yeah.
Very, very interesting guy. So yeah, that was the night trap we were all afraid of. That didn't happen.
And also, wrong choice. You didn't pick the right comfort watch for.
No, not at all. Not at all. I had Paul Michael Glazer on from Starsky and Hutch, and he's from Boston, and he directed The Running Man. And Starsky directed The Running Man, and he told me the most amazing story, which listeners have heard this, but you may enjoy this if you'll indulge me for a moment. He replaced the director because the director had gone way over budget. And he comes in and he started redoing some of the action scenes because he had to cut the budget. And he goes, Kenny, I get a call at 2 a.m. Arnold's mad. You got to come down here. He's pissed at you. So I go to his trailer and he's got his Running Man costume like peeled down around his waist, no shirt on, cigar, there's girls on his arms, there's muscle guys walking around. And he starts asking me like, why'd we cut this scene, whatever. So I go, got a piece of paper? And he goes, yeah. And I get the paper, I got a pencil, and I start drawing stick figures, And I go, we're gonna do this, and then the next scene is this. And I go through the scene, and I go, you want me to go through the whole movie like that for you, Arnold? And he went, no, that's fine.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's how you handle it. That's how you handle it. He's like, no problem.
Whoa.
It's a very Boston way of handling it.
It really is. It really is. And he also goes, the star of that movie was Killian, and that's the movie I made. I'm like, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely Richard
Dawson.
Richard Dawson. Sorry, I almost said Richard Burton, which would have been a completely different Running Man.
Is that the executive?
Yeah, Killian, yeah.
Richard Dawson, yeah. Richard Burton would have been the Rolling Man. It could have been like an Ironsides movie. So let's dive in here. Saturday night, when I go past this amazing commemorative plate of American Indian Heritage Foundation Museum. Have you ever bought a commemorative plate or any Franklin Mint type stuff?
Well, I'm not 70, so no.
And I never
But when
will
you look
be.
like Dick Miller.
I probably will be. Yeah, collecting plates finally. No. I'm trying to think if I've ever ordered anything out of a magazine, and I can't imagine doing
Or even
that.
off the television.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Nothing?
that is something I just never... Even when I saw infomercials as a kid, I'm like, who's going to give their credit card to somebody over the phone? That seems not smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or even like, I don't think that works like they say it works. That's not going to get fire off a car hood. I don't care how English the guy selling it is. So let's jump in there. Saturday night, what jumped out at you?
Let me see. I have notes. I wrote down some things. Okay. Star Trek is on Saturday night. They're playing Fistful of Datas, which is a Western-inspired episode.
So if you're not familiar with the Star Trek TV series, that's not the original. They have something called a holodeck. And everyone that's their virtual reality video game, mechanism. And anytime the writers don't want to, mess with an alien or something to do with the ship malfunctioning, they'll use the holodeck to write whatever they want.
Hey, they shot a Western around the corner and they still got the set for 2 more days.
Exactly.
Save some money.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, this week they landed on the ancient Rome planet.
Because if they don't do that, and we noticed that with Voyager, they built some sort of like resort set, and it's so boring, but they built it clearly specifically for Voyager, and so it's in like 7 episodes. They're just hanging out, drinking mocktails. On this.
Someone wanted a pool to hang out in. I had Emmanuel Lewis on, and he pointed this out to me, and I don't know how I never noticed this, but the kitchen from Webster is in the Golden Child. So they were doing pickups for the Golden Child, and like, we need a kitchen, and like the Webster set was there. So it's just Webster's kitchen in the Golden Child.
I think I keep seeing the same hotel lobby / restaurant set in some very recent things that are all done by Amazon. It's like used in, Dolomite Is My Name, and God, I'm trying to think of some other streaming things, but I'm just like, I've seen this interior 3 different times.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they have some like numbers nerd who's crunched that specifically for them too, being like, if we can greenlight 3 shows that use a bank vestibule for at least 2 scenes, we can save enough money that this will make money. It's kind of amazing to see how ingenious they get.
Also, there's locations around LA that are just up for it.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do.
I'm just looking at the listings, and I noticed that Columbo Cries Wolf is on. Columbo's a big blind spot for me. Feels like it would be a good advantage to take care of that.
Kate Mulgrew.
Mrs.
Yes,
Columbo.
Mrs. Columbo.
At the end of it, she's like, I'm taking this magnifying glass.
Just one.
I don't want the perverts to have it.
I don't want some pervert asking me one last thing.
I think though that my preference might be for TNT is airing a back-to-back Taste the Blood of Dracula and The Satanic Rites of Dracula.
2 great Hammer horror movies with Christopher
Yes.
Lee as Dracula. 2 of the swinging 60s London ones that are like extra terrible.
Those are the best. It's so great to see those types of archetypes getting like eaten by Dracula. It's always fun.
They're that case they're like, look, we lost our studio. Can we shoot something contemporary? Be like, but Dracula's been dead for 100 years. Be like, get some girls in miniskirts to just bleed, and then he'll come back.
He's back to life.
Yeah. And Christopher Lee has no lines anymore. He just comes out and yells and goes away. Those are fascinating.
Yeah.
Are you a Hammer fan in general?
We've been getting into it recently. It's one of those things that's like, it's on streaming now. Like there's the TV series, The Hammer House of Horror. Those are really good. We've been trying to grab those like as we see them, because they just there's something about them, like that Vincent Price movie, like Theater of Blood.
We even just saw a Cannon film that was basically a Hammer film. House of the Long Shadows.
Oh yeah, with all the John Carradine is in it, and Christopher Lee, and like all the guys.
Yeah, our friends Frank and Jeff of the Canon covered it with us, and it was just a Hammer film, because we had watched another Cannon movie, Life Force. That was
also kind of Hammer inspired too.
You
but
say?
Way more money in there.
Toby Hooper, who directed Life Force, was like, I want to make like a Hammer horror movie, and it makes this crazy.
Why does he sound like Michael Shannon?
Well, he's from Texas. He drinks a lot of Dr. Pepper. He's on heroin. I don't know.
Oh no, you think? Is that what it is?
Toby Hooper had a big heroin problem.
Oh, I was thinking Michael Shannon.
Oh no, I don't know. Maybe. I used a men's room with him once, and I couldn't tell. Yeah, Life Force is an absolute mess, and has Patrick Stewart in a really weird role.
Yes, it's so great. He's been a naughty boy.
What a mess of Steve Railsback, incredibly incorrectly cast in that movie.
Yes.
He looks like Henry Rollins in that movie.
Yeah,
that movie. Oh boy.
And what do you think? Is the 2 Dracula movies? Do you think that's USA Up All Night, or is that
it's on TNT? Did you say? Or
Monster Vision?
It's pre-Monster Vision. So 92. If it's USA Network, it would still be Saturday Nightmares, because Up All Night didn't start till 11, so it would have been 10 Central Time. Yeah.
Saturday
Nightmares. I love Saturday Nightmares on USA Network. It was fantastic. Have you ever seen The Monster Club?
No. What's The Monster Club?
Oh, good God. You're in for a treat. You might start a whole podcast series just about The Monster Club.
Right.
It was Amicus Films, which was Hammer's like main rival. They made like Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror and those sort of portmanteau anthology movies. They made their final film was called The Monster Club, and it was based on this book by R. Chetwood Hayes, and it's an anthology, and it's got all the people you would want in it: Vincent Price and John Carradine and Donald Pleasance, and they had no money. So they literally bought masks from Woolworths, It's also a musical for no reason. John Bolton, the comic book artist, painted this amazing. You just need to see it. Really, it's
I wrote it down. We're gonna start writing these things down.
The first. This won't ruin anything, but the first segment in the anthology, the conceit is this rich guy is supposed to be so hideous, no one will ever look at like he's the most ugly guy, and they clearly had no makeup budget, so he's just some English guy. But everyone reacts to him like he's the most hideous person that ever lived, and he just looks like some guy.
Have you seen those photos of Bradley Cooper when he was performing The Elephant Man in London? Yeah, and it's just him gnarling himself up to be the elephant. It's like, no.
It's the acting equivalent of a Ben Cooper costume where the person has their own name on their chest. Like,
yeah,
the Elephant Man. yeah.
That would be so much better if it was it's that awful plastic digging into his eyes.
Your skin, you're cutting your face up. Yeah.
The elastic snaps in the third act. Yeah, that's going to be...
We need to stage an all Ben Cooper costume play.
Yes.
Elephant Man or something else like that. Anything else on Saturday?
Oh, boy. I wrote down a couple of other things. Who's the Boss is on, and I only bring up Who's the Boss because we watched the pilot of it for one of our podcasting compatriots, Brett White, who does a show called Must Have Seen TV.
Yep. It's been on the show.
Yeah.
You've been on the show?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you guys need to know each other.
Yeah. You guys are cut from the same cloth. And yeah, we talked Who's the Boss. So yeah, I'll check it out. But also, they got the new WKRP in Cincinnati. And it looks like, according to the ad on the next spread there, it's the return of Howard Hessman as Dr. Johnny Fever.
Is he out for revenge?
He's out for
revenge. He's been fired. Yeah. New KRP was not that bad. Tawny Katane was in it, who we recently lost. French Stewart, it was the first thing he ever did. He was like a punk rock shock jock. Very weird. And it was in this whole weird movement in the mid to late 80s where we had the new everything. There was the new Munsters, the new Addams Family, the new Lassie, the new Leave It to Beaver,
the new Monkeys,
the new WKRP, the new Monkeys. Like, it was just this huge amount of stuff from 50s and 60s. And WKRP was like one of the newest shows that they did a new version of. We also had What's Happening Now. Which is the sequel series to What's Happening. And this was a syndicated one. People hated it. Just hated it. And it's not that bad. It's pretty in keeping with the original. It's obviously all new cast. And I like that it was a continuation and not like just a reboot.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot in my heart for workplace comedies set at a radio station. There's just something about that vibe where it's just like a bunch of people who are very savvy about what they're up to, but are just in constant turmoil and pain.
I'm kind of surprised there are so many. There's Frasier, News Radio, this one?
Yeah, the KRPs,
Midnight Caller.
Don't know it.
Do you remember that show?
No, Midnight Caller.
Oh, man. Shot in San Francisco. It starred... I can never remember his name. He played Lumberg in Office Space.
Gary Cole.
Gary Cole, who was a night DJ who solved crimes.
Wow. Wait, write that one down. Midnight Caller.
Greg Proops is in an episode because they shot it in in San Francisco, and they kind of just used everyone who was in San Francisco.
That's so
and
funny.
Greg plays a cabbie, and for no reason is just doing this like, all right, Mac, like Brooklyn cabbie accent.
Ernest Borgnine in Escape from New York.
Exactly. It's Gary Cole as radio DJ crime fighter, which is maybe my favorite radio DJ show.
What's the tone? Is it absurd or is it?
It's not intentionally funny.
Oh.
But it's deadly serious, Midnight Caller.
Sounds like it could be like, if they did it with like the Sledgehammer sort of tone, that would be a lot of fun. But
it's fun. It's just the most 80s thing ever. Like it was in the wake of talk radio, that Eric Bogosian movie and play.
Yes.
So, people were like, yeah, man, radio DJs, they're the coolest.
They're out there, man.
Yeah. Sort of pump up the volume solving crimes as an adult.
I like the usage of the word knights to basically just spin off an IP, but make it supernatural and dark.
Of course, talking about Baywatch.
Baywatch Nights.
Baywatch Nights, but I feel like you can add nights to anything.
Absolutely.
To plug our own show a little bit on Left-Handed Radio, ages ago we did an episode that we pretended we made in 1996, and we did a running sketch called Seinfeld Nights. So it was Jerry and the gang, fighting werewolves, and
I'm so jealous of that one too, because that was the episode that I wasn't in the room for. And every
But you could enjoy it.
Yeah,
you can enjoy
every
it
time I
as an
hear that
audience
sketch,
member.
I was like, so fucking funny.
That thing was amazing because the first season of Baywatch Nights was not supernatural. It was literally like Mitch is bored, so he's a detective at night. And then no one cared. And they had greenlit it for 2 seasons, and they were like, this is terrible. The X-Files are big. Now they investigate werewolves. And some absolute saint has taken every 30-second next time on Baywatch Nights and edited them together into a 30-minute thing. So it's the entire second season in 30 minutes and 30-second clips of the episodes, which is all you need. And they get crazier and crazy. There's an unfrozen Viking who goes on a rampage on the beach.
I have a question about this. So I have a memory of Baywatch. The only episode of Baywatch I remember, and the only character who I remember, Summer, being possessed by a ghost. Was that a Nights episode, or was that
That's a Nights. That's a Nights. Yeah. I had Alexandra Paul on, who was Lieutenant Stephanie Holden, and she got killed in Baywatch, but they had her come back as a ghost in her bathing suit in Baywatch Nights. And I was like, what? Like, just talk me through how they pitched you on this. She goes, I don't know. They were like, you're a ghost. Here's your bathing suit. I have no idea.
Did they reconcile? The shows were on at the same time?
Yes.
So did Baywatch Days, did they acknowledge that ghosts were real?
No, which is super weird because once Baywatch Nights got canceled, Donna D'Errico's character, who ran a nightclub that Mitch also owned, became a lifeguard all of a sudden. And was brought over into the same character and was brought over into the Baywatch main universe.
Baywatch Prime.
Yeah, we need a Baywatch Voyager. And,
Maybe it was all just a dream that Mitch was having, so it was fine. Like, he does know this woman in real life, but she's just not.
He wishes she owned a nightclub and he fought vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Mitch was just really into acid.
Maybe.
Like for a while.
Or it's just different dimensions, different.
That does. There is some string theory episodes of Baywatch Nights. I'm not gonna. They get into some sliders territory. Yeah, it happens.
I kind of want to binge it.
I can't wait to see this video at least. Yeah.
The video will make you. Like the next episode you're just like, what? No, it can't possibly. Oh, it's crazier. Like it just. It's great. Deadly serious. Yeah, it's amazing. The Nights were always good. Yeah, what would be the best drama to do a Nights spinoff of?
Oh boy,
Game of Thrones
Nights.
No.
What would be a show that's dark anyway that you would do a Days spinoff of?
Oh, good.
That
good
was
question.
like more like Baywatch.
Yeah.
We just watched True Blood.
Yeah,
True Blood Days.
True Blood Days. All the vampires
are sleeping. Yeah, it's what everyone else is doing during the day, and nothing exciting's happening.
The Sopranos days.
Yeah, it's just like getting up, going golfing.
There's no crime. There are no strippers.
Nope.
I mean, Sopranos Nights, though, Tony and the crew having to, track down a werewolf, that
owes them money.
Yeah, that owes them money.
This fucking hairy bastard. he
I don't
owes
know,
me
Tom.
$2,000.
I guess he might be a shapeshifter or something, Tone. I don't know.
I gotta spend money on a goddamn silver bullets now.
A lagoon monster, okay.
I love looking at the crows in the trees at night.
You know, vampires are just zombies people want to fuck. So
See him all day. What about you? Do you have any?
You got one?
I don't know. Now that I've poised you with that question, I don't think I have an answer. I would like to see an X-Files days that's just them doing normal stuff like paperwork.
Oh God.
Nothing weird.
And just normal crime as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
drug
like they're just-
well, that's I guess. Well, what is FBI does drug stuff, right?
Yeah.
Kidnappings.
affecting drugs.
Kidnappings.
Fraud.
But
Serial
not
killers.
counterfeiting, because that's the Secret Service.
You know what would be a great show, a great mashup show is seeing what the FBI like there's all these like animated revamp shows, but like a set in the FBI in the 90s with every fictional FBI agent from the 90s. You know, so you got your Mulder and Scully, you got your Clarice Starling, you got your Agent Dale Cooper, all
Shared
hanging out,
universe.
getting lunch. Yeah.
That's like that video that someone made, that Hell Club or
Oh yeah, Hell's Nightclub. Have you
Hell's
heard it? Have you
Nightclub.
seen this?
No.
I think that's the name of it. Somebody put together, like, mashed up, like, a ton of nightclub scenes from a bunch of movies, including, like, Terminator and Heat and maybe Cruising, I think, but just...
Gotta get cruising.
And there's a story that they make with the mashup of, like, you can, like, the characters looking at each other, and then all of a sudden there's a big, gigantic fight.
Saturday Night Fever is also part of it. Yeah, so there's like a dance thing
Hell's
happening
Nightclub.
on the
Oh, no, I'll have to look that up.
But if we could make a mashup of all the FBI agents collaborating.
Talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
Or
good.
like all those school shows take place in the same school. Like Head of the Class, Drexel's Class, Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Yeah.
Like, it's all
Yeah.
the same high school.
Saved by the
Boy
Bell,
Meets
Freaks
World.
and Geeks,
Yep.
Wonder Years, Malcolm in the Middle.
They move on to the next class. Yeah, we could do this now. CGI VR has done this. We'll get the holodeck and we'll make this happen.
Yeah, we'll deep fake it.
Yeah, exactly. Or we could maybe shallow fake. I don't have that much money. So anything else on Saturday, or are we on to Sunday?
I think I'm on to Sunday. I think I might probably keep watching monster movies until I go to sleep.
Let's do it.
What did I write down for Sunday? I was struck by, this isn't prime time, but I was struck by Mr. Bean airing at 5 o'clock on HBO.
Yes. Yeah. HBO was, for some reason, airing a lot. They also aired Blackadder for a while, and they were buying like some UK shows. And this was when HBO was owned by the same company as that owned MTV and Comedy Central, I think. They all were.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, maybe that might not have been the company then.
It might have been MTV Networks, or it was like a
Yeah.
short-lived time. So they bought like a package of this stuff. That's when Comedy Central started showing Absolutely Fabulous all the time, and Whose Line Is It Anyway? There was a stand-up show called London Underground they would air. They were all kind of airing. They just bought a bunch of stuff. And I think Mr. Bean, they were like, I don't know where to put this.
Yeah, just throw it on.
Yeah. Just
Also airing, I just noticed this, the Mark Harmon TV movie Prince of Bel-Air, starting at 4 o'clock. So if you're in all day, check it out.
yes. Also starring Kirstie Alley.
What did I write? I probably, you know what, as a kid, it probably definitely would have been America's Funniest Home Videos, followed by Funniest People.
Funniest People was an odd duck.
Sure was. It was like it's like they weren't getting enough clips, so they had to go to every shopping mall in the nation and be like, what kind of... It's like Stupid Human Tricks, the television show, I think.
Yeah. And then like Dave Coulier just doing whatever he wanted.
Yeah,
Like
and
the
then
Jackalope.
the Jackalope shorts. Yeah, what a strange grab bag of stuff that was.
it was the same phenomenon of when TV's bloopers and practical jokes first started. It was just bloopers, and then they ran out of bloopers, so they started doing practical jokes, and then they started showing like weird commercials, and then they started doing like Man on the Street, and I think that's exactly what they wanted to do here with America's Funniest Home Videos, but couldn't even justify putting that in AFV Prime, so they had to do this spinoff.
I wrote like a term paper in college because I was in broadcasting a little bit, but I wrote a term paper about home video, and a big part of it was like the America's Funniest Home Videos being this gigantic phenomenon that like spurns on like people buying their own camcorders, you know, hoping to like create these moments to win. What was it? $10,000. Wasn't that at the end of the season? Oh, that was $100,000.
$100,000 at the end. Yeah, the prize were $10,000, $5,000, and $2,500. I think were the top three prizes. Yeah, and now people film much more amazing stuff for free.
Yeah,
put it on the internet.
Although on on Fox, it looks like there's a making of Home Alone 2.
Which we're not allowed to talk about.
We're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, do you think he shows up in that?
No. That's something. That's a favor.
We a few months ago we were watching The Devil's Advocate, you know, for fun, and he's supposed to be in it.
Yeah, like Craig T. Nelson plays a character with his haircut, and
in his home, I think.
And shot in his ugly apartment. Because I was watching it and it was like that's his apartment. Why? What? And then
one of the demons, right? One of the
very next scene,
one of the business demons mentions that he was supposed to be at the party that they're all at, but he had a business meeting.
Yeah,
which makes me think that he was asked to be there because they were walking around the ballroom going like, and here's this person, and here's that person.
Governor D'Amato.
And wouldn't it be funny if, this guy was,
and he's like, I want
Satan.
$10,000. That's because I'm broke ass.
That's the problem with the Grimace, is that he has inserted himself so much into pop culture for such a long time that there was like a thing where we would just try to go like, let's watch this old thing to like not think about what's going on for a second, and then it would be like, well, the Grimace said this, or we're like, well, come on,
no,
please.
Yeah, there's a whole episode of Growing Pains about he's the plot.
Okay. No, I'm surprised he wasn't in. What'd you say? You watched RoboCop and Running Man?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't show up in that.
Number one, I think Paul Michael Glaser would have been like, who the fuck is this guy? And would immediately see through it. And I think RoboCop, that the satire, they would be like, we can't even handle, the satire would be too over the top if we did that. Although Marla Maples is in the opening shot of Maximum Overdrive.
Marla Maples Grimace?
Yes. She is killed by a truck.
Was that before or after she was a Grimace?
That was I think. That might have been where I discovered her. Yeah. And then only semi-related.
Watch the scene over and over again.
Paris Hilton's mother is the victim in the opening shot of Chud.
No, really? The woman is
gets pulled into the sewer? Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Why? Was she an actor?
Was she?
No.
I just happened to be, that's so funny.
Yeah, they were shooting in New York, and there was like, let's get her.
Paris Hilton was in the House of Wax remake.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
She did a great job.
She was very good. She was well cast, although she's also in a Supernatural episode, and she is terrible.
Okay.
Real bad. And they tried everything to make that
She was in
not
Zoolander
terrible.
as well. Do you think she will be our next celebrity president? Because she has tried to insert herself into everything.
I think she would like to be. She tried to reinvent herself this year, being like, "Oh, I was in on it. Like I knew it was all a gag." And you're like, "No,
sure."
No,
like Tommy Wiseau with the Room.
Yeah, this was my. I meant to do that excuse. Yeah. Like that never has that ever worked ever.
Sorry,
I guess.
I said the wrong. You can bleep that out if you like.
That's fine. What swear would I replace it with?
Grimace.
Yeah.
Just
also, there's there's a 2-hour episode of Eyewitness Video on.
Yeah.
Which
what was that?
Oh man. So post America's Funniest Home Videos and Cops, which was actually incredibly influential, we started getting shows like Rescue 911 and Eyewitness Video. And Eyewitness Video was basically taking news footage and making it way more sensationalized.
Yeah.
So this one says, amazing videos of a terrified family trapped on a lake in the path of a raging tornado, plus a savage prison riot photographed from just inches away, a dramatic fire on a bridge, and other amazing real dramas videotaped as they happen.
Yeah.
It's just a country of sociopaths, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of,
I was looking at like top podcasts the other day, like you do in the biz. First of all, Ben Shapiro's in there. We got to figure out what Muppet to call him. But also,
Muppet's too good for him.
Like 8 out of the 10 top shows are all true crime, and I know that everybody knows that. But to see it there and to go like, oh, this is people are just, this is what they're into. They want the worst of humanity, and I'm not sure why. I'm trying to figure out, because some people will say like, oh, it makes me feel better. It justifies my anxiety that's already there, and so it helps me have this cathartic experience. And some people are just there going like, this is why I don't want to pay taxes. Like,
yeah, it's, I think part of it, here's my social theory, which is not of much value, but I think part of it is because I asked friends who run those, and it's a huge phenomenon with women. People know that's like the core audience for a lot of the true crime. And they said part of that is because they're constantly in fear for their life. And like for a woman, like if you're going to meet someone you met online, a guy's like, I hope she looks like her picture. And a woman's like, I hope I don't get murdered.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a, let me try to understand what's going on here thing, which I get.
It's research. It's training.
But I also think, because I noticed this weird shift with the younger millennials in the 2000s, where they loved horror that was about creatures and magic that had rules.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like things that had very clear rules. Like if there's a spell to break it, like really clear rules. And some of it, I think, with this stuff is like a backlash to that a little bit, because it's basically chaos.
Yeah.
And it's easier to digest those sorts of real things when it's presented to you in the same way that a fictional thing is. I think that's part of it.
I tend to agree with that. I think we humans do have a natural fascination with violence. Not that we like love it all the same. Like, I think people have a fascination and either want to get a charge out of it, or they like the feeling of, or get the feeling of revulsion, which is proper. But like, I think putting it in that television place is like, here is a safe way for you to see something crazy. Just that will never happen again, shouldn't happen again, but here's a way to see it.
And it makes it smaller.
Yes.
The issue I'm having is we've all sort of spent this last year deprogramming as a society, right? And realizing just how much sensationalism has shaped not just, the people who we think are wrong, but just everybody. It's
warped reality itself.
Everybody's terrified of everything, right? They're to the point where they can't even bring themselves to volunteer or help, the unhoused, because they're terrified of, what will happen to them because of these stories and because of how the news was fed to us and how it was covered. Even before cable news, 10 o'clock news was trash.
Oh, yeah.
It was all
absolutely.
trash. But I didn't know that. I don't think a lot of people did as children. We just watch it. And it primed people for Fox News, right?
Yeah.
And so my worry is that these podcasts and these shows are priming people to be terrified of everything. Everyone who doesn't look like them, doesn't share the same values, is from a different country, is a different height. Like everybody's in their own little bubbles, and this is just reinforcing that mentality.
Yeah, it's almost like a violence version of the Red Scare in the 50s. You know,
Yes.
like everyone could secretly be a murderer and you'd never know. And it's one of the things that was really eye opening to me is my wife is from England, and that's not the eye opening thing. Like I didn't just find out, but her dad was visiting us, and he was, we were watching the local news, and he was like appalled, like, it's awful here. There's fires everywhere. There's constant car accidents. But it's not any worse. We just cover that stuff on the news, and they don't cover every car accident and every house fire and every anything on the news there. So it feels like it's constant.
They do cover that, and then they ignore, not. I almost said not to get too political, but fuck it, I'm gonna get political, right? You get tired of hearing about like children in cages at the border.
Yeah.
A house fire, that's the ticket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
a drug overdose, a stabbing.
Yeah.
This building that collapsed in Florida, is that going to be? Is that something we're going to hear about for the next 2 years or for the next 2 minutes? You know what I mean? It depends. It depends who like. It's very
What's
sensational.
The angle?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the angle? Is it like, no, Florida's fine, don't come, like keep buying these condos? Or will it be like, what building will fall next? And,
it could be yours. Oh, I was just home with my parents back in the Midwest, and the local NBC affiliate, they were promoting the fact that they have a news drone. So they're doing all this overhead thing, but one of the promos was specifically like, a house fell down because of negligence. And it's just like, well, this is the poorest part of town, and
that happens.
It happens, and it was just, it had that same thing of like, could other buildings be next? Like, yeah, they can.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Like Kentucky Fried Movie from 75, I think. Mm-hmm. That's one of the jokes. They have a little trailer and they go, something in your house can kill you. We'll tell you at 11. Like it's, but that's almost word for word how those things are. And I worked at our local CBS affiliate here in Boston, and I was shocked to learn, although this makes perfect sense, and there's probably even less of them now, there was like 3 consulting groups that all the news stations would pay tons of money to come in, and they just tell them what to do. They go, rebrand is this, have a thing you call the action team, use this kind of music, do this. And then, so they all sort of have this same branding, even though they're local stations. And these like 3 different consultant groups like make their way all around the country and then start over again with a slightly new spin. And they set these tones because these local news programs are like, we don't know what to do. And they're like, all right, get yourself an investigator and have them go yell at people.
I thought now they were all owned by the same.
Yeah.
There's 3 companies that own most of them. There's still some indie local stations that do news, which is crazy to me. But up until the 90s, really even the early 2000s, literally every radio station had a newsroom. Like a Kiss FM pop station had a newsroom. They had full-time news people to do the news or do the traffic. And now it's all centralized, or, they just get, a fax that has like the highlights. And it does suffer from that because it's easy for 1 or 2 people basically to set the whole tone, which is not good. That's never good. There's one thing I want to mention here on Sunday. The Murder, She Wrote is a cartoon Jessica Fletcher. Yes.
There's an ad for it coming up in the thing where she's like a fox. Yeah, there it is.
What?
Yeah.
And Harvey Fierstein is in this episode. And speaking of British 60s things, Patrick Macnee.
Oh, yes, from the Avengers. Yeah.
And Waxwork.
Yes.
You were talking about The Prisoner on a previous episode that we were listening to, and we were really jealous because that is a show we love.
Yeah.
It's great. It's such a great show. And I mean, how great is Patrick McGowan?
He's the best.
Just a
He's
lunatic.
Just an insane person.
Like, just in the Cronenberg movie where he's like the doctor who's trying to stop it, and you just get this impression that like Cronenberg sat him down for 10 minutes, told him what the movie was about, and then just let him do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Because he's in a totally different movie, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah, he made Scanners a really good movie. Like, it's definitely an elevated movie because there's somebody there. I mean, Michael Ironside is great in everything, but him. that's like the secret to these like goofy like movies from the 80s. Like if you just get one good actor in there, it does so much to elevate everybody else.
Christopher Lee's story from Howling 2.
Maybe.
So The Howling 2 is gloriously awful. It has the infamous breast reveal scene just over and over and over again in the credits, like 25 times they keep showing this. And it's called Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf. They shot it in Bucharest, I want to say. And so they basically rented these werewolf costumes from LA and had them shipped to Romania or wherever it is. And when they got them, they realized that they weren't werewolf costumes. They were ape costumes. And so they're like, all right, we can modify them a little bit. But Christopher Lee, who is playing a werewolf expert, he goes, here's what we'll do. When I'm giving a speech about werewolves, I'll say that at one point they go through a monkey phase. And he says it in the movie, and what you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like he manages to totally make this thing work by this one thing, but just because he's Christopher Lee, like no one else could have made that work. And until I heard him
So funny.
say
Also,
that,
it makes sense to me. Between human and wolf.
yeah,
Is ape.
What's the bridge? Yeah.
yeah, you got it at the bridge. But watching the movie, I never questioned it once until it was brought up in this thing, and then I'm like, oh, that's ridiculous.
So funny.
That's what it takes.
There's a Christopher Lee story that I've heard a few times because like he's a fascinating character of just history, and he's like descended from Charlemagne or something. He fought in World War II and was like a Nazi tracker, trying to like find these guys after the war was over.
He was in a metal band
Yeah, he did metal in the
In
2000s.
the 80s, yeah.
in the 80s.
Oh, I thought it was
he-
like recent too. He also
He
was in a
does,
metal band.
Kept
he
doing
does
it.
some, actually, and Patrick McGowan as well did like, I think it's Manowar, I want to say. They did like these like soliloquies over this heavy metal stuff that
Yeah. He was,
he
on
was like
some
he was like a James Bond type guy.
right. Yeah, I think
Both of them.
I think it was one of those Hammer movies or something, and the scene was a guy's getting stabbed. Have you heard this one? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This guy's
not how they act.
That's not how it sounds. And then he does the sound of somebody being stabbed, and everybody's just like, oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like that was that generation of actors lived life before they were actors,
Yeah.
and they brought that to the roles. They're like, oh, that guy killed a dude. Or have you ever seen Salem's Lot Part 2?
No.
So it was written and directed by Larry Cohen, who did the stuff.
Okay.
And
Yes. Big
and
Larry
here's
Cohen
the-
fan.
greatest part of it, he cast director Sam Fuller in it as an ex-Nazi hunter who discovered vampires while he was hunting down Nazis and now is a vampire hunter. But it's Sam Fuller with a Luger and a big cigar, and he's like, I got this gun off a dead Nazi. And he's just like hunting vampires, and it's the weirdest thing, and it's amazing. Like, I just want a whole universe of 75-year-old Sam Fuller just hunting down monsters. And he's annoyed that he has to do it. He's like, Jesus.
Good.
And I'm like,
Did you ever see the Keep? Did you ever see the Keep?
Oh,
Michael
yeah.
Mann's
Yeah,
The
Michael
Keep.
Mann.
Yeah. Nazis and vampires, big overlap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Hellboy movies make very good use of supernatural Nazis.
True Blood had
Oh,
that
yeah,
little
True
arc
Blood
as
too.
well.
In the daytime as well?
In the
The
daytime, yeah.
as well. The fun thing about True Blood was that the vamps would say things like, we try to be like, we try to like align ourselves with certain movements because they're easier to hide in, like punk rock or
Like The Hunger.
Yeah. Oh God, what was that one thing where they're just like, there's always different things where they're like, I thought vampires couldn't do this, and they're always like, we lied and told people that.
Yeah. That's only in the movies.
Always the crosses, the mirrors, the garlic.
Yeah.
Like, we made
We made that up.
We made that up.
Although-
Total fiction.
I love how they use that in the original Fright Night when he gets the cross and Jerry Danders laughs him. He's like, you have to have faith for that to work. Like, just,
So good.
That's
like-
different. That is that's like your fault.
yeah, which is a great way to do that. Like, you screwed up here, dude.
You-
Also,
do it,
faith in what? God or the fact that this cross will stop a demon, you know?
Is it the same thing?
No.
Here's the existential question. Is that the same?
When you're staring down the barrel of a cross.
Yeah. That'd be great if all weapons work that way. Like they just don't work unless you believe they do. Be like, sorry, it's not going to work.
What happens if this podcast is 4 hours long?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. We may have to do a part 2 at some point. And I don't want to keep you guys all night. So maybe we'll speed through the rest here. But before we get past Sunday, I do want to mention Handyman.
What is Handyman?
In living color.
Oh, yes. I saw that.
It is.
I'm trying to find it to show Anna.
And offensive.
There it is.
And it's literally a joke was that this guy's handicapped and he's a superhero. There was no like spin on it like, he gets the last laugh or he's the smartest guy in the room or like everyone underestimates him. It was literally like he's handicapped, look, he fell over. And they did it every week. And it is just awful. Awful.
The one person I know who wrote for that is a sex offender. So that tracks.
That totally makes sense. And they actually got a Handyman movie greenlit, which became the movie Blank Man.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say that the outfit looks like Blank Man. I watched Blank Man a lot.
So they softened it.
Yeah.
To make Blank Man. God. But now when you see Blank Man, you're like, oh boy.
Comedy was so cruel back then. It
Some
really
of it was.
It still is in some circles. We're just in our, progressive comedy bubble.
True.
It's an easy form of comedy.
American Pie, very, we thought it was hilarious that all these women were basically being sexually assaulted, right?
Yeah.
And now we wouldn't do that. Right? For comedy.
Right. It would only be for a horror movie or to make a social statement.
Yeah. A true crime.
Or as some sort of pastiche.
Right.
Commenting on the stuff we liked in the 90s. But I don't know. I get a little, it's a little
I know what
weird.
You're saying.
Like you go to any stand-up club and it's the same stuff.
Oh, I know.
It has not evolved, and and the question is, are we just being silly saying like, well, there's the right comedy and the politically correct comedy, and then there's the bad comedy. And I'm of the opinion that like, yes, PC all the way. Thank you. I love it.
But it's cliche. See, I even think you can do those sorts of things, like the more toxic a thing is, the higher a skill level you have to be to handle it.
Yes.
And most people who go that way can't handle it. And the best way I can equate this, and if people are playing TV Guidance Counselor Bingo, I'm about to bring up Stephen King's Danse Macabre, so you just get a square. Stephen King wrote this nonfiction book called Danse Macabre in 1981. It was he taught a class at University of Maine about horror fiction and then made the class into this book. And I always recommend it for people to learn about how to write comedy, because horror and comedy are the same exact function, same exact setup, different payoff, exactly the same. And the reason specifically this book is because Stephen King explains the difference between a true scare and a jump scare. And a jump scare is like the cat jumps out at you, right? It gets a reaction every time, but now the audience doesn't trust you and they're kind of mad at you. You still got that reaction. Versus a true scare, which is you build character, you build empathy for them, you're worried about what happens to them, and you're truly scared, which is really hard to do and takes a higher skill level. And comedy's the same way, like those offensive, like, hey, Aunt Frank and a Nazi with a guy, blah, blah, like just whatever stupid thing, that the cliche stuff. The audience is going to react, but now they're like mad at you for making them react that way. They don't trust you anymore, but it got that thing. And it's much harder to build something with more lasting. It's like cover bands versus originals. It's like this whole shortcut to get reactions.
Danse Macabre.
It's so good.
Out.
It's so good. He writes about Tourist Trap quite a bit in that. I don't think that sort of humor is inherently tied to a certain class or culture. I think that, there's ways to do that humor in a way that is sort of organic and a natural defense mechanism or like a coping mechanism as an offensive weapon, as well as a way to cope with things that are awful, like a gallows humor. And almost nobody who I see do that in media writ large is doing that.
Yeah.
They're taking the superficial pieces of it and using it to, it's like the torture porn horror where instead of being scared, the reaction is, oh, that probably really hurts.
Yeah.
I see your point. Yes, there's lazy humor at all levels, whether you're doing a Harvard Lampoon joke or you are just the funny kid at your school. I mean, there's a proper way to do it, I guess. Not proper. It's
amateur and professional. You know what I mean? Like amateur, you can be really good at the sort of cliche stuff or the stuff that people recognize as that. And then professional, it's not this way, unfortunately, but you should be doing something different or interesting with. You go up that next level, you have that skill level that's more than just that. Or like a chef.
There's another sort of shade to this spectrum, I think, that like Ann and I talk about a lot, which is comedy mathematics. You know what I mean? Like there are some guys or some comedians who are out there that will just go like, okay, that plus that equals joke. And it's not like, well, why did you choose X and Y? And why is that?
Like it doesn't matter. X plus Y equals joke.
X plus Y equals joke, though.
It's impersonal one-liners that became really big. And I know so many comics like that where, they have no investment or humanity in it. And I hate that because it's just like, why are we here? Because it's a weird thing to do, to get on stage and go, you people I don't know should listen to me. And so why though? Like, what about you should we be listening to? And it's hard to convey that. So I think a lot of people, there's also a strange thing I noticed where, and we're getting on a comedy, my stand-up soapbox, sorry everyone, where I've noticed that younger people, if you do a joke that is a slightly touchy subject or something like that, and it's not totally impersonal, like it's not a math version of that joke. Right. It's not blah, 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 Helen Keller 9/11 or whatever, they'll shut down immediately. If you made it real or made it a thing or connected to an actual human being at all, now it's like offensive or they're like, nope. But you could say the most, like roast jokes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They love those because it's a safe, really impersonal way to be incredibly mean. Yeah. But it's incredibly shallow. Like the whole thing about the original version of that was this was people who knew each other busting each other's balls. Yeah. And the new one just became, who's in the room? Here's a math joke that's offensive. Move on. Like it's almost like those murder shows where the victim doesn't matter. They're just a body, Right. It doesn't affect anybody other than it's now the fulcrum for the procedural. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Which is to the true crime thing again. It's like, we just want to see the plot device that is the person and not know about the person.
God, man, we got a lot out of our Sunday night lineup there.
I know, guys.
Which is good. Monday's kind of a dry spot.
Have we hit we've watched so much TV this weekend that we should just, read a book.
We could, although Evening Shade is on.
Evening Shade.
This episode's all about Burt Reynolds' sex drive.
Oh, God. What's on Monday? I wrote down Fresh Prince.
Yep.
Fresh Prince, great but show. Also Bullwinkle and Get Smart are on Nick at Night. That's probably what I would have been watching.
Such good show. Bullwinkle's so good. Bullwinkle is so good.
Yeah, they and I'm afraid they're gonna bring it back in some crazy way too. You know what I mean?
They did. Prime did a really good version of it the last couple of years.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's really good.
It is good.
Tara Strong does Rocky's voice, but it really captures the original show and updates it in a way that's not. It's not ironic. It's not nostalgia. Like they managed to get what made that show interesting and just do a new version of it. I was really, really impressed with it.
All right.
Nobody watched it though. Nobody.
Yeah. It's so old-fashioned.
Anything on Tuesday? Monday night, there's the world premiere movie ripped from the headlines starring Beverly D'Angelo, A Child Lost Forever.
Yeah, no, I saw that. No, I think I'd probably be going to. No, I'd probably be watching Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke and all that stuff.
The classics.
The classic stuff on. Oh God, Nick at Night was so good. So
this
good.
I forgot was. Oh, sorry.
I was just all I was going to say, and then I'm going to switch over to the 700 Club,
just to see what crazy nonsense they're spouting on that.
Yeah, just to get to sleep, just to
sleep well. Young Prince says. They ask poor people to give them all their money. This is the first year Jay Leno took over the Tonight Show. Speaking of lazy comedy, and the laziest company man ever, paving the way for Jimmy Fallon's style of eunuch comedy. And so it's interesting to see how they're really rolling out like some big name people especially at the time, to really try to endear Jay Leno to people as like the successor to Johnny Carson. And so on the Monday night, so they have Marlee Matlin, fresh off winning an Oscar, Liza Minnelli, Ricky May Shelton and George Carlin, Jack Palance, George Foreman, and Harry Connick Jr.
Why doesn't George Carlin get a little picture?
Yeah, well,
I don't even photograph well.
I guess not.
Not true.
But they're like really pushing Leno. They're like, we got to get Leno out there.
Yeah.
There's 7 words you can't say on TV, and there's
one of them's
photo
Jay.
you can't have.
And it's George Carlin.
TV Guide, yeah.
Have you ever seen the George Carlin show he had in the mid-90s?
I used to watch that. Yeah, it was kind of because like, you know, as a kid, Carlin was kind of everywhere. He was in Shining Time Station. He's in Bill and Ted, and you know he's even funny and great in those. So you check it out. And then there's this. He's just this offensive cab driver, and it's not even closely. It doesn't really reflect his kind of comedy either.
No.
Except maybe like, you know, getting a hatchet to the forehead, that kind of stuff.
It's
Does
in New
anyone
York.
but Patton Oswalt have that problem? Like, because I've heard him talk about how people would get offended at his stand-up shows, but they would only come because he's on King.
He's
of
Spence,
Queens,
yeah.
or he's the rat.
I did a week of shows with Bob Saget like 10 years ago.
Oh, Bob Saget.
We did these big outdoor summer sheds.
So sorry.
And it was the weirdest thing is Saget loves stand-up. He had a notebook. He was writing jokes all night, like filling. Guy loves doing stand-up. He didn't need to. He just likes doing stand-up. Gets out on stage, doesn't get to do a single joke. It's an hour of people yelling "suck a dick" and him like that.
Right, yeah.
Like that's all it is. And he might get one joke out, and then he'd come up and be like, "Oh, that was fun." And it hit me because I'd done shows with Patton or like, you know, big comics, and I was lucky in that the people there were kind of comedy nerds, and those shows, it hit me that those people were not there to see a comedy show. They were to see a famous person they saw on TV and hope to get them to yell at them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a totally different motivator for going to see a show.
I went to go see David Tell perform at I think Penguins Comedy Club in Davenport when I was in college, and that would have been, you know, right around Insomniac, you know, which I loved Insomniac so much. And he got to do half of his show because the other half was taken up with people sending up drinks throughout the entire thing and doing that, you know, cowboy woo, you know, and eventually he's just like, is there so little to do in this town? Like, let's go watch the drunk drink, and then later let's go feed the mailbox mail.
Yeah, it's the way people watch comedy shows is genuinely appalling. I
don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
We've never been stand-up.
You're of a tougher breed than us, Ken.
Yeah.
Especially
It's been a
in
year.
Boston. Yeah.
Boston is rough. I have gotten into physical altercations with people on stage.
Jesus. And you're just trying to tell jokes.
Oh yeah. No, people will rush the stage. One guy I used to do martial arts when I was a kid, and I still remember some jiu-jitsu locks. And there's one that bouncers always learn because you can grab someone by the finger and basically hold their arm like this, and it's incredibly painful. You just walk them around, and so this guy rushed the stage and he went to punch me, and I got his arm and I just had him like this, and he's in pain, and I was just like, "It's such a dick move." I was like, "Now apologize to everybody." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," because like I just have him like this, and I'm just like, and I'm gonna let you go, and I gave him his money back, and I'm like, "Are you gonna walk out?" Like, it's just like, we shouldn't have to do this, you know. But I was also in a punk band before that, and I got hit in the face with a brick once during a show. So anything less than that is we showed up. We got booked on a white supremacist show in rural Pennsylvania, so we were just nerds. Like my friend Andrew played bass, a Filipino kid. Like, we're, you know, it just. So I made the executive decision that we were just going to do non-ironic Prince covers for as long as we could get away with it. And 3 songs in, we were doing "I Want to Be Your Lover," and about before I got to the chorus, I got hit with a brick, and then we had to get out of there.
God damn.
Yeah. It was,
God damn.
oh boy. Yeah. But it's been a year since I've done stand-up because of the lockdown. It's very strange. It's
coming back though. People are doing it.
I don't know if I miss it. I don't know if I could teleport on stage to teleport off.
Yeah. I think you got a good thing going here, Ken.
Yeah. We'll see. It's I was very lazy in that I didn't have to do open mics and stuff. Like, I'd just get on good shows after a while, and so now I'm like, how do I have to go back and work it? No. So let's, I'll keep you guys all night otherwise, but any other couple highlights in here, and then I'll let you guys go back to your actual life.
Oh, for the rest of the week, let's see. I got excited seeing an advertisement for something on Discovery, which was Discovery Channel's invention, where they're talking about the video toaster, like a very early computer graphic thing. I think like MST3K used it for the Shadowrama.
We got one at our local cable access station.
Ooh.
In like 95, and people were like, "Holy shit."
Yeah.
And it had dirty transitions you could use. There was like a naked woman silhouette, and she went and pulled the shade down. That was like, you were like, "Ooh."
Let's see. There was also, like I said, a lot of Star Trek. Liquid Television on MTV. We love animation here in the house, and that's like one I have a very visceral memories of some very dirty, ugly, gross animation. Beavis and Butthead, I think, also got their premiere there.
Charles Burns had a live-action version of Dog Boy on Liquid Television.
Oh my god,
which was amazing. Aeon Flux obviously came from Liquid Television. The Brothers Grunt stuff, just weird stuff. It was amazing. I love stick figure theater.
Yes, yeah. I think I also saw Godzilla versus Bambi on there, or maybe not.
Yes,
but
that was on Night Flight a lot as well.
Oh yeah, Night Flight. Let's see here. Wednesday's kind of bigger because there's Batman the Animated Series.
Wednesday's an entire episode.
Yeah,
Batman the Animated Series. I had Paul Dini on, and we talked about that at length.
Wow.
Nice.
And Batman's amazing.
Unsolved Mysteries, Seinfeld, and then we didn't even get to talk about The Simpsons because
Tales from the Crypt. Yeah.
I love Tales from the Crypt. We'll have to do a part 2.
We'll do a part 2. Let's come back.
If you guys are up for it, we'll have to do a part 2.
This is great.
Because I could talk about this stuff all day, and you guys are clearly fellow fans of similar things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the show is, again, Left-Handed Radio.
It is. It is amazing.
I always say,
everywhere.
if people like this show, they'll love your show. Like, it just kind of makes sense. I think that's well established at this point. But yeah, we'll do a part 2. We'll do it again. And hopefully, it won't be in person because I won't be out in LA yet, but not too far off.
Hey, absolutely. Let's get drinks if you're here.
Yeah.
We're
for
friendly.
sure.
We don't bite. We're not,
Oh, nice.
we're not 3-headed dogs.
It'll be in the daytime. You're not nighttime vampires. We'll just
No.
or serial killers. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
This is great, Ken. Thank you for having us.
part 2. I haven't done the part 2 yet, but when I can get some time with those people, we can do a part 2. I got the feedback I got from you guys was that you would rather I split the 3+ hour episodes into 2 parts. So that's what I'm doing going forward. So we will do that. Also, you pointed out to me that my Boston accent has gotten much, much worse, which is interesting considering the fact that I have not been interacting with people around here or leaving my house, but I was aware of it. It is not intentional, and I need to work hard to get rid of it again, because as I used to joke on stage back when I did stand-up, I want people to listen to me. If you would like to tell me who you would like to listen to, please email me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com. You can also go on any of the social media sites. I am on those at Kenneth W. Reed or at TV Guidance. Also have the TeePublic stores. There's a I Can Read TeePublic store, which is a bunch of old New England defunct businesses and various other things. There's also a TV Guidance Counselor one where you can buy TV Guidance Counselor merchandise, as well as my stand-up merchandise, t-shirts, phone cases, mugs, whatever you want. It's all there, and I do receive a portion of those profits. I get $2 per item that you buy. And if you do buy those things, send me a photo. I'd love to see how they come out and let me know if you like them. It's always fun to see that kind of thing. Also, thank you to the patrons. Once again, you guys are the best. If and when we get in person, I will hug you if you want me to, or not if you don't. But that's how the world is now. Anyway, so look for part 2 in the future. Next week we have a brand new episode. It's not part 2 of this one, but it will be just as good. So we'll see you again next time for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
You can paint a house, you can paint a table, you can wear a work shirt, and you can smoke.
Well, I'm not 70, so no.